perspective of him, because he's not just a leftist, he's a progressive in the true sense of the word. Now, this young man, I didn't know him until he fell foul of the authorities as a result of his student union activism, when he was actually tortured under the military administration, spread his tentacles into the University of Lagos. And when the combined efforts of the unionists, of the student unionists and the civil rights activists were able to extract him, he had to be sent abroad for treatment for the effects of the torture to which he had been subjected. And that's how I came to know him. And then while he was away, he set up one scurrilous rag that was called Sahara Reporters, and everybody feared it. And I had some little contribution towards it. Anyway, when I got to the United States, it was in recognition of that he bought me my first iPad. This is its successor. Yeah, this is many iPad 6, but he set me on the path. And I'm sure that you all know him.
You, happy birthday as well. She's 70 and he's 72. And another hall a few weeks ago. This is the hall of people who brought democracy to Nigeria with fewer people in attendance. There was a hall 2 weeks ago of people who destroyed democracy, but with more people in attendance. The university was that both halls hosted writers. One, a writer who wrote his own book, Abdul Oroh, and another one, the one who didn't write his own book, Abangida. That was but what it tells you is that there's still a lot of work to be done. If the people who wish Nigeria well and good are fewer than the people who don't wish Nigeria well. That is the way I say it here. The second thing I want to say is that there was a mistake we must admit to that we made when democracy came about in 1999. In all fairness, we should have allowed charlatans to hijack the democratic process. We did, and we are guilty of where we are today. In the US, they refer to democracy as government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And Abdul's book title refers to democracy as demonstration of grace. But I have often referred to Nigeria's democracy as morontocracy, a democracy that was hijacked by morons. And that is the result you can get. The reason is that while the rest of you are no longer getting arrested, detained, or your passport seized as back over, I still get arrested as of a few weeks ago. I have my passport still seized by the government in power. That's Oshiomhole's government, Comrade Oshiomhole's government. They are still persecuting us because we did not put in place the kind of democracy that would have guaranteed our own fundamental rights and well-being. This is why we are different from South Africans. South Africans, when they ended apartheid, did not leave their country to the people who were running apartheid. The most important activists in South Africa are the political leaders. The most important billionaires in South Africa today are people who fought for democracy. But in Nigeria, the poorest people in Nigeria are people who fought for democracy. The least influential person in Nigeria are the people who fought for democracy. Even we can write as many books as we want, but for as long as we are not in charge of our destiny, as long as the right set of people don't govern this country, we can only be clapping at our book launch while they are laughing at us, because our numbers are way fewer. Our influence is not there. I've been introduced here as a presidential candidate. It is true that I ran for election twice in this country. Although I ran for election, I only saw on the day of election selection. And if we are not careful, which I'm sure you all know, by 2027, the day will pass and a set of people will have also selected themselves to be in power. And nothing will change in our lives. And I'll be able to say this because I know what we now have in terms of electoral politics. That whomever you see in INEC today are most likely APC card-carrying members. And for those of you who think that INEC is the biggest problem, you are making a mistake. The biggest people who rig election in Nigeria, who fix election are in the military, the security services. I was in the DSS when the election happened in 2019. They emptied the place. The only person that was left at the DSS was the guys who were guarding my cell and the guys at the gate. Every other person went to Kogi State to rig the election for Yaya Bello. That is what will continue to happen in this country. On that basis, I just want to yield and thank you so much for the guidance you gave us. I can't thank Abakoba enough. I can't thank Chief Ganefa enough. Femi Falana. And I wanted to say to Abdul Oroh, the writer of the book, you were a great journalist, a great executive director at CLO, but there was a time I had a fight with you, and it was because you were supporting Obasanjo's daughter. I can't forget that, but we'll reconcile. Next time, support my first time. Thank you very much.
Although Sowore is actually a writer because he's a publisher, it again reinforces what I said. It's important that we have this picture from so many different perspectives. And we can't rest on our laurels. You can see in the United States now, to which he referred, people being banned from talking about the history of that country as regards the transatlantic slave trade, for example. And these are things that we would have taken for granted, that the knowledge will continue to increase. We in this country are in danger of not even knowing our history, and that's why it is important, even though the launching of books